Alright guys, welcome to Talk GCSE, and if you're aiming to get full marks in Edexcel Economics A-levels, this is exactly the type of essay you need to master. Now, it says evaluate the impact of rising house prices on different stakeholders in the economy. This is your classic 25 marker and a combination of microeconomic, macroeconomic, and most importantly, evaluation. Now, rising house prices occur when demand for housing exceeds supply. I am hoping that we all know that. Often driven by factors like low interest rates, population growth, and limiting housing factors. Now, that's your knowledge mark straight away. In Edexcel, you must define the key concept, which is rising house prices. So then immediately link it to an economic theory like demand increases, low interest rates, reducing mortgage costs, or supply is inelastic in the short run because housing takes time to build. That imbalance pushes the prices up. To reach the top marks, you should also contextualize. For example, in the UK, persistent supply shortages and policies like Help to Buy have contributed to rising prices. Now, there are some positive impacts as we're going to start off making our first point in the paragraphs. The first one is wealth effect. Homeowners see an increase in wealth, boosting consumer confidence in spending. Now, this has to come with a chain of reasoning. Think about this. If your price of your house increases, there's an increase in value of the asset. You may feel wealthier, increased consumption. Now, this is directly related to aggregate demand. It increases spending, boosts economic growth, and can have a multiplier effect. But here, the evaluation. The evaluation basically is that it's only beneficial for homeowners, not renters. So it depends on whether the gains are realized or not, because people don't always, when their prices of their house go up, they don't always sell up. I hope this makes sense. Then we've got the construction industry growth. Higher house prices encourages new builds, creating job. This is a supply side response, guys. Higher prices increase expected profits. Firms do build more homes. There's job creation, lowering unemployment and economic growth. But again, we need to evaluate this because supply is slow to respond due to planning restrictions. Labor shortages in construction limits that expansion. So the impact may be delayed or limited. So that's a strong evaluation. Going further on, it says increased mortgage lending. Now, banks benefit from higher loan values and interest payments. This shows your financial sector impact. Higher prices, larger mortgages, more interest income for banks, but top students will link it with risk. So, if lending becomes excessive, it leads to financial instability. And this is the setup of your evaluation later, especially when you bring in the 2008 financial crisis. Now, here on this slide, it talks about the affordability crisis. Now, this is your strong argument point. Higher prices, deposits increase, mortgages are harder to obtain, reducing home ownerships. This leads to increased inequality and intergenerational unfairness. So evaluation for this is that the government schemes are there, Help to Buy, but they can actually increase demand further, worsening the problem. Then we talk about the rising rent prices, making renting unaffordable for lower income groups. This shows a knock-on effect because houses are expensive, landlords face higher costs, rent increases. Now, this reduces the real income for renters and increases poverty risks. Evaluation is it depends on elasticity of rental supply. In areas like London, the supply is very inelastic because rents rise sharply. This is a strong contextual application. So this is all about context, guys. Then we've got the risk of housing bubble. I hope this has made sense so far. Now we're going to talk about risk of housing bubbles. If prices rise too quickly and then collapse, financial instability will follow. This is where you bring in your top-level evaluation and real-world context. Speculation drives prices beyond fundamentals, bubbles form, and eventual crashes there. Use the 2008 financial crisis, risky lending, subprime mortgages, and house pricing collapsing. Now then extend the chain of analysis. So there's a crash, there's negative equity, there's reduced spending and recession. session. This is what the examiner wants: clear chain of analysis, micro-macro links, and real-world examples. So in order to reach your full conclusion, you must have balanced and conditional paragraph. Overall, if you have found this video useful, just make sure to give me a subscribe. It allows me to create more and more useful videos for you. In order to get your 25 out of 25 marks or higher band mark, you need to define key terms clearly, use chains of reasoning, apply real-world context, evaluate, and finish with a balanced, clear judgment. Thank you ever so much, guys. If you found this useful, as I've told you, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.